And you're live.
Hey, welcome back to Judicial Dollars and Cents. We're live at the PILMMA Super Summit in San Antonio, and my guest is Howie Golden. Howie, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, tell me about what your company does.
So I'm the CEO of Capital Financing based out of Atlanta, and we specialize in case expense and plaintiff financing, which we've been doing for 16 years.
And it's on a non-recourse basis, correct?
Both of our financing structures has always been a non-recourse basis where we will invest in cases, and it's predicated on the outcome of a case.
Okay, I love this concept, and I'm going to help try and steer some folks your way, because I just have a recent example of a firm in the Southeast that had a great year last year, $2 million in profit, two partners. And when it came time to carve up cash at the end of the year, and they realized there was only $1.3 million available because their case cost rose $700,000, it became very apparent to them that there was a problem. Their firm was growing, but that money's not available to them right now. And you would provide a solution for that.
Yeah, I mean, part of what we've dissected is the flaws in the contingency industry, where lawyers are tying up their money, giving their clients an interest-free loan. They're tying it up for months to years, and they take the risk. And when you really break it down that way, they don't realize the flaws in their own business model, but it's just the status quo. Litigation, more cases are going into litigation. Insurance companies are fighting. And when they go into litigation, the cases take longer to settle, and the cost to litigate because of all the vendors are costing a lot more money. So this perpetuates cash flow problems that many contingency lawyers are already having, but it highlights it, and it really puts it under a magnifying glass. Most law firms are unhealthy. And when you look at what you just gave an example of, having $700,000 tied up in cases as an interest-free loan to your clients, essentially what they're doing is they are taking their income and putting it into a case with no tax benefit. And that money should be theirs to use as lost opportunity costs. So what we do is we look at the firm, and we try to get them to see a different way where they would borrow our money to cover their clients' case expenses so their firm is healthier. And by doing so, these firms can put more money into marketing and operations and not have cash flow problems. And like you said, $700,000 is a lot of money to be giving to somebody at interest-free loans.
Right.
And that's a problem. And that's really what we've been able to dissect from doing the case expense financing type of approach.
And I guess by state, depending on your state rules, you could, if your retainer agreement or engagement letter with the client said you could pass that cost on.
Sure.
That would be an even better way to do it.
So the cool thing about commercial litigation is we can do that right now in 49 states, where when we do consumer financing, which is the plaintiff financing, we are limited to some consumer restrictions in legislation in different states. But we do put language, we actually provide to the law firms turnkey language that they can put into the retainer, so it's transparent, that they can borrow litigation financing capital at our disclosed rates to the client, so it's transparent. And even we can even do this. We actually can work with lawyers that have clients that have signed a retainer agreement, but we can go retroactively. Yes, we can go retro. This is what makes us unique. We reimburse law firms capital they have tied up in cases. It's not just future expenses that we can cover, but costs that they have tied up that are highlighted by the cash flow issues we talked about. We can literally go and evaluate, adjudicate at the case level, because we're not looking at the firm as a line of credit. That's what makes us unique. We're not a bank or the traditional players in the industry. We look at the case level and we invest just in the case. So if a lawyer has an IRS tax lien, or they're a newer law firm, they don't have collateralization, they don't have the history, they can't get money from somebody. We don't care about that. We look at the case level. So what we'll do is we'll provide them the turnkey paperwork that they would put into the documentation, and we can go and do it retroactively. So we have even documentation that the client would sign, their client would sign, to allow the firm to borrow our money to reimburse the firm their capital back. And I can tell you, it's a game changer for law firms when they have, like your firm that you mentioned, $700,000 of their capital in cases. And if I said to them, what would you do with that money if you had it back? The response is what you just did. And I said, that's what I can do for you. We would look at the cases and we would be able to adjudicate the case and potentially reimburse you a portion of it or the full amount. And what would that money do? You can put it into marketing. We're a PILMMA, so they're all looking at marketing strategies. So it gives them the health of a firm that they didn't have before, and it infuses them with cash. That's their own money,
Right.
and getting it back, because otherwise they wouldn't get it back until the case settled.
It's the phantom income. They have the income, they don't have the cash until that case settles and the money comes back.
Well, and it's funny. I actually have a term for this. It's about as good a Ponzi scheme as you can find, because the money comes back into the firm and it goes right back out into another case. It never stops until you stop, handling cases. You retire, and that's when it stops. Otherwise, it's perpetually getting worse for most law firms, because a lot of states are going through tort reform. Florida, Georgia, Texas, where we're at, tort reform is impacting everybody. And the truth is when you litigate, it's David versus Goliath. The lawyers are undercapitalized to be able to compete with the insurance company. And
David did win that fight.
David, yeah, let's hope so.
He had his
Let's
own
hope they
set of
win.
flaws later on.
Yes, he did. He did, but it's true. It's a real challenge. And I guess I would say this to you. My philosophy is lawyers shouldn't be the bank. They
Right.
didn't go to law school to be the bank and the lawyer. So the idea of us being able to capitalize a law firm, that they have more capital to invest into litigation, levels the playing field against the insurance company that has all the time and all the money, and they just don't. And there's so many flaws in the contingency model that we don't have the time to do and get into. But lawyers, it's a dramatic shift, and it's a visceral response when they hear this approach to financing their cases.
I want to focus on the plaintiff financing you do as well, because I talked to an MBA attorney in Las Vegas who worked with a motorcycle victim, and the insurance company dragged it out for 4 years. Now, this person was really injured, couldn't work, ended up losing their house, losing their job, all because they didn't have the cash flow because of their injury. And the insurance company dunked them around for 4 years. And so this attorney made it a mission to go after motorcycle accidents and specifically go after the insurance companies. But a solution like you have, upon evaluating the case, could help that person survive that 4 years.
Yeah, so there's always been a stigma in the plaintiff financing business. And I got into it 16 years ago, and I'm proud to say I was the first company to implement a cap on interest 16 years ago. I was not well received in the industry. It was ongoing compounding interest that when somebody borrowed it until the case settled, it was extraordinary, the payout at the end. And it left a really bad taste in most, legal professionals' mouths. So when I came into the industry, I decided to do something that nobody had done. I was told I'd be out of business in 6 months. 16 years later, I'm in 37 states. It's not the perfect model, but what we do is we cap our interest in 12 months. And I bring that to your attention because when we are asked to help somebody, it's not in the best of our interest to take all of their settlement proceeds. We want to help them when they're in the time of need. This financial stress is one of the most stressful things people will ever experience. And if we can be an asset or a partner to the firm and to the client to help them through this difficult time that they didn't ask to be in, they didn't ask to be injured, and they had a lifestyle that they lived and they can't work. So where plaintiff financing really highlights itself is when it can maintain a case, when a plaintiff can actually live their lifestyle still and give the lawyer the runway to build the value of the case, go through multiple mediations, give them time. Because if somebody's struggling, they can't work, they're going to tell the lawyer, I need to settle my case. I can't pay my bills. I'm going to go home, going to be homeless. So we've been doing this a long time, but I think what stands out to law firms that like us is we're still owner finance. In other words, we're not private equity. So we care about the relationship with the law firm and to the clients. Our terms are very favorable. We do not compound interest. We never have. I think that compounding interest should be on our investments, not necessarily when we borrow money. It doesn't make any sense. So we've been really successful at offering terms that are unique to the industry. We're transparent, and I think lawyers appreciate all that, and so do the clients.
You're really providing a much needed source of capital for both the plaintiffs and the law firms.
Yes.
I appreciate you coming on. I look forward to partnering more with you on client situations. I think I'm going to try and plug you into a couple of places. It's their decision, but I think it would be a great solution to help them overcome this growing investment in their case costs where they have income but no cash.
I would appreciate that. And listen, it's, always trying to solve problems. Solving problems for a lot of lawyers is a really important thing because they don't even see their own problems. And they're not, as we know, businessmen.
Well,
and the finance.
You're exactly right. They didn't go to school for finance.
No.
And they're great at their craft, but they don't know what you do. They don't know what I do. If they're coachable and they let other people play in their wheelhouse, then they can grow and scale their business fast.
And I'll end on this for you. As a CFO, you understand this. So many of the law firms are experiencing cash flow problems, but it's quite astounding that they don't know their numbers. And what I mean by that is, if I asked a lawyer, how long does it take for your cases to settle? Do you have an average? Do you have any kind of understanding that if you signed up 100 cases in a month, how that breaks down of how many settle in 6 months, a year, 18 months, 24 months? None of them have that information. And I tell them that if you actually had that information, your cash flow problems would probably be much more manageable.
And that's where a great case management system can come and help provide that data. Again, they don't need to have a handle on that, but that data's there. They just need it managed and shown to them.
Or they need a great CFO that can come in there, or a controller that can show them the numbers and the metrics. They don't know their metrics. They don't know their business. But that's not what they went to law school to know. That's why they got to bring people in around them to show them where they can be more profitable or healthier in a business. And like I said before, they shouldn't have to be the bank and the lawyer. Focus on the law. Let us do the banking. Let you handle the financing from the CFO's perspective. And that's the combination that they should see.
Well, Howie, this has been great. If
Pleasure.
folks want to get a hold of you or your company, how can they do that?
So our website is www.injuryfinancing.com. My email is howie@injuryfinancing.com. That's HOWIE, injury financing. And that should be a good way to get in touch with us.
Well, thank you again. And thank you all for joining us on Judicial Dollars and Cents. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Absolute pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on Judicial Dollars and Cents, presented by Anders Virtual CFO Services. If you found value in today's conversation, be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. To learn more about how Anders helps law firms strengthen their financial foundations and drive growth, visit anderscpa.com. Until next time, keep making smart decisions that make perfect sense.